Hello, everybody, and welcome to Atheist Sunday School, your one-stop shop for everything Atheist Sunday and school. And boy, do we have a show for you today. Today we are covering 2 Corinthians chapters 7 through 9.
And it's the Christmas show.
It is.
And it's the Hanukkah show. Last night of Hanukkah today.
Oh, yeah.
So we have a rare holiday special for you.
Yeah,
we're going to do the same thing that we do every week.
Yeah, except it's Christmassy. So we're going to say a lot of things about being merry and jolly and ho, ho, ho.
Ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas.
Exactly. Yeah, it's been really cold recently. Like the last 2 days in my room, there has been ice on the inside of my windows.
Yeah, that's been like that at my place too.
Yeah,
it's kind of nuts.
it's really cold, guys.
It's -7 and -14 with wind chill last night.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy.
You remember that one polar vortex we had where it went down to like -50 with wind chill?
Oh yeah,
we got off school for that.
See, I was working at McDonald's at the time, and I had to work that day.
Oh gods!
But there was this old guy, a philosophy professor somewhere named Lonnie, and you met him. Cool guy. This old black guy. I talked to him a lot when I was on my breaks. He used to box, and the day that it was -50 outside, he challenged me during my break to go outside and do a push-up contest.
What? Why?
Of course, he didn't have gloves, and neither did I. So, it's freezing out. Dude did 100 push-ups, like, without any slowing down, like, no breaks, nothing, in -50. That was nuts. That guy was hardcore, man.
That is nuts. Only a crazy person would do any of those things.
Yeah, I was like trying out hot water in like a spray thing that day.
Oh yeah,
and it turned to mist. I had to spray it into the wind, so it would go away from me.
Yeah,
but yeah, it instantly fell as snow.
Yeah,
it's like
wow, it just instantly turned to hail.
Freeze. Yeah, it's that bad. We did need off school.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah, man, wild.
Yeah, you know what else is wild? The Bible. Oh, well, I've got the King James version of it.
I have the English Standard version of it.
Nice voice crack.
Thank you.
I've got the Jewish Annotated New Testament really and the NIV Study Bible.
So we also have Erdman's commentary on the Bible. We have a textual guide to the Greek New Testament from Roger Omenson. We have also the Greek New Testament. We have where did I put it?
We have the Septuagint.
Here it is. Sorry.
And we have the text of the New Testament by Bruce Metzger.
Yep, and the Historical Jesus in Context by Amy Jill Levine and others.
As well as the Oxford Companion of the Bible.
Yeah, so we got a lot of books, and we got this one. So I am going to, once we actually get to chapter 8, I'm going to go into it a little bit more. But we'll also be using 2 Corinthians 8 and 9. This is from the Hermenia commentary series. So this is the commentary and translation by Hans Dieter Betz.
And that's the only Hermenia commentary on 2 Corinthians.
It is, yeah. The reason for that, like I said, we'll get into it once we get to chapter 8.
Okay. So you want me to just start off with chapter 7 then?
Sounds good to me.
All right, then I'm going to get into it. Let's go. Chapter 7. Having therefore these promises, dearly beloved, let us cleanse ourselves from all filthiness of the flesh and spirit, perfecting holiness in the fear of God. Receive us. We have wronged no man, we have corrupted no man, we have defrauded no man. I speak not this to condemn you, for I have said before that ye are in our hearts to die and live with you. Great is my boldness of speech toward you. Great is my glorifying of you. I am filled with comfort. I am exceeding joyful in all our tribulation. For when we were come into Macedonia, our flesh had no rest, but we were troubled on every side. Without were fightings, within were fears. Nevertheless, God that comforteth those that are cast down comforted us by the coming of Titus. So let me see if there's any commentary here, because it seems like a lot happened.
Yeah, trying to follow along in Erdman's is kind of difficult, honestly.
No, there's a bit on cleansing. Cleansing ourselves, having defilement. The Greek term defilement, malismo, reflecting the Hebrew tuma'ah, appears only here in the New Testament. Biblical and post-biblical Judaism understood the body to require periodic purification from ritual impurities, e.g. Leviticus 15:11, on the impurity that results from bodily emissions. But already in the Tanakh, the concept of defilement was extended metaphorically to moral failings. See Leviticus 16:30, referring to the cleansing power of the Day of Atonement. For on this day, atonement shall be made for you to cleanse, literally purify, you from all your sins, and you shall be clean, literally purified, before the Lord. Body and spirit are not in opposition here. Contrast Galatians 5:16 through 26. Like Paul, both the Tanakh and early rabbinic Judaism distinguish the physical body from the soul or spirit, viewed as the life force. Associated with respiration, the soul was understood to derive from God's own breath, as in Genesis 2:7. The rabbis see body and soul as closely connected and equally responsible for a person's choices. At the eschaton, the reunited body and soul will be judged together.
So it'll be in the end times.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's
where we get our word eschatology.
Yes.
Yeah, so Paul's new confidence has emerged from extreme affliction. The torture he endured in Macedonia was particularly occasioned by his anxiety in waiting for Titus, who had carried the painful letter to Corinth and who had yet to report to Paul on its reception. Yes. Paul here recognized the risk he took in writing that letter.
Now they're returning to the account that began in 2:12 through 13, where he described how his hopes of meeting Titus in Troas were disappointed and how, restless for news, he decided to press on into Macedonia. He now explains that on reaching Macedonia, he was at last comforted by the arrival of Titus, who brought the news he most wanted to hear concerning the situation in Corinth. Titus himself has been well received in that city, and was able to assure Paul of the longing and ardent concern of the Corinthian Christians for him, and of the deep sorrow they expressed because of the grief they caused him. Consequently, his joy was greater than ever. Let me continue on here. And not by his coming only, but by the consolation wherewith he was comforted in you, when he told us your earnest desire, your mourning, your fervent mind toward me, so that I rejoice the more. For though I made you sorry with a letter, I do not repent, though I did repent, for I perceive that the same epistle hath made you sorry, though it were but for a season. Now I rejoice, not that you were made sorry, but that ye sorrowed to repentance. For ye were made sorry after a godly manner, that ye might receive damage by us in nothing. For godly sorrow worketh repentance to salvation, not to be repented of, but the sorrow of the world worketh death. For behold, this selfsame thing, that ye sorrowed after a godly sort, what carefulness it wrought in you, yea, what clearing of yourselves, yea, what indignation, yea, what fear, yea, what vehement desire, yea, what zeal, yea, what revenge. In all things ye have approved yourselves to be clear in this matter. Wherefore, though I wrote unto you, I did it not for his cause that had done the wrong, nor for his cause that suffered wrong, but that our care for you in the sight of God might appear unto you. Therefore, we were comforted in your comfort, yea, and exceedingly the more joyed, we for the joy of Titus, because his spirit was refreshed by you all. For if I have boasted anything to him of you, I am not ashamed, but as we spake all things to you in truth, even so our boasting, which I made before Titus, is found a truth. And so he's like, yeah, if I seem full of myself, that's just because I'm so great.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't lie. I'm just full of truth.
Yeah, see, the thing is, like, he was boasting before, but now that, like, everything has been shown true, he's like, see how right I was? It wasn't a problem. My boasting was not an issue.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. There's not much more to this chapter. It's going to end soon. Not much commentary on it either. It's very straightforward.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. And his inward affection is more abundant toward you, while he remembereth the obedience of you all, how with fear and trembling you received him. I rejoice, therefore, that I have confidence in you in all things. Well, that is some great confidence. And that is also the end of
the
chapter
chapter.
7.
Yeah.
Hey, if you're enjoying the stream so far, I know we just started, really, but give it a like, comment, subscribe, share it with your friends, family, neighbors. Let's get the party going in here. It's Christmas Hanukkah.
Yeah, Christmas Hanukkah.
Christmaka.
Yeah. It's a great holiday.
Yes, it's the holiday where the Christians take the Asherah poles and put them in their homes.
Yeah, that's exactly what happens.
I mean, that's basically...
Kinda, yeah. I mean, I think it stems from something else, but yeah.
They even adorn it with, like, idols.
With ornaments.
Yeah.
Yeah, those idols.
Well, sometimes the ornaments are, like, angels and stuff.
Yeah, they put them on, like, the top of the tree.
Yeah.
Ornamental.
So it is ornamental, but it is an idol.
Yeah,
right?
they did. Well, I mean,
It's kind of
I
like
don't
an
think
idol.
they worship it or
It
anything.
doesn't have the same... Well, I mean, they do, like, set up this giant display and, like, pay credence to it.
they have
and
this
usually
song-
they,
Not
like...
to the angel.
No,
But to the
Guys,
display
They
overall.
have a song called "Oh Christmas Tree." Does anyone else remember that?
Yes.
Yeah,
They have an ode to it. You're right.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's pretty intense. If
So,
you know, think about
basically, what's going on is that they've set up an altar, right? It is. It's like...
it's yeah, I mean, I don't think they're making sacrifice necessarily, but
Well, no.
they're but I guess altars are
Well, they are making sacrifices.
just not.
Yeah, they give gifts and they put it under the tree. It's
For-
like a ritualistic behavior
Yeah.
where they sacrifice one thing in
Food
the
offerings.
preservation of
Santa
another.
Claus has
food
food
offerings, yeah.
Food offerings,
He has,
sure. But I guess we
cookies and elves.
yeah, all for Santa. You're right.
Yeah.
This is obviously the religion of Santa.
Well,
At least that's what we tell kids.
he
It's the
does get
capitalist.
food offerings.
Yeah.
Right. Now, of
You-
course, an adult eats the cookies.
Right, yeah. Which isn't that just kind of like a weird way for adults to give themselves treats?
It is.
They're like, "Hey, child, put this right on the table, and Santa's gonna love it." But really, it's just for them. When you can just have a cookie and some milk.
I don't know.
What?
I probably brought this up once or twice, so I'll make it super brief. But when I was really young, I slept under the Christmas tree, and that ruined everything. So
You slept under a Christmas tree?
there was like a cloth thing that was on the ground.
Oh, right, because
around it.
you wanted to catch Santa in the act.
I was like 4, I
Yeah.
think, and
Wow.
then from then on, I knew it was my parents. So
You know what? People talk about the whole Santa Claus thing. They're all starry-eyed.
Wait, were you guys lied to as children? See, I wasn't
Yeah.
because I grew up Jewish. I was so,
Right. Well,
I mean, I was, but not about Santa.
It's literally children being lied to about something, and the parents know that Santa's not. It's not like the God thing, right?
Right, yeah.
There's differing opinions. No, everyone understands Santa Claus is fake.
Yeah.
right? So you're forcing your children to have like an existential crisis at a young age because you're eventually going to reveal to them that Santa's not real and this thing that they've thought is like magical and like foundational to their understanding of reality is a total fiction.
Yeah, like what's
Right.
the purpose of any of that? They like to say that it's fun, right? It doesn't sound fun to me.
That sounds it sounds harmful, honestly.
Yeah, it really does. Like one of the first things you're going to do as a parent is teach your kid how to not trust you.
Yeah.
No, we teach them how to walk, talk, and then disarm landmines. That's the third thing. We're not talking about Santa.
Right. Fair enough.
See, that's why with my kids, I'm going to teach them about Harry Hanukkah.
What about the
The Hanukkah zombie?
No. What the holiday armadillo?
Oh, what is the holiday armadillo?
Did you not watch Friends?
No.
Oh yeah, it was it was the only costume that Ross got left with. So, but he tried to like, because Ross is Jewish, so he tried to share the story of Hanukkah with his kid. So, because that was the only costume that was left was an armadillo costume.
Yeah.
He, instead of Santa or anything else, he came in as the holiday armadillo.
Wow.
Yeah, it's it's just good old 90s humor.
Well, I'll just make up something about Harry Hanukkah, how he breaks into people's homes and like steals their Hanukkah gelt or something.
Okay.
So you
Wow.
gotta shoot him.
You gotta shoot him.
him.
Yeah, let's read chapter 8. But before we get into chapter 8, the short introduction here. So this is something that's called chapters 8 and 9, something that's called the collection letter. So it's kind of its own thing. In fact, the author of this section in Erdman's suggests that it was really the first of the 3 Corinthian letters. So, investigation of the literary problems of 2 Corinthians goes back to the beginning of historical critical inquiry into the New Testament. In his 1776 commentary on 2 Corinthians, Johann Salamo Semler, professor on the liberal theological faculty at Haley since 1753, proposed for the first time the hypothesis that Paul's second epistle to the Corinthians is composed of several distinct fragments. The importance of this insight for Semler lay in its use as an argument against the orthodox doctrine of the canon, and particularly against the prevailing theory of, quote, the final perfection of Scripture. Semler's historical investigations, only one of which was concerned with 2 Corinthians, demonstrated in case after case that the canon did not come into existence until a much later period, and that early Christianity neither knew of it nor was bound by it. Semler's commentary on 2 Corinthians was only part of an ongoing debate which had begun prior to the writing of the commentary and did not end with it. The observations which were to bring about a decisive change in the course of scholarship on 2 Corinthians are found in, it's called Paraphrasis to Epistolae ad Corintios of 1776. In the introduction, Semler proposed that the work is composed of 2 separate letters. The first consists of 2 Corinthians 1 through 8, and then Romans 16 and 2 Corinthians 9, together with the conclusion in 13, 11 through 13. This letter was sent to Christians of Achaia and was carried to them by Titus. A second letter was composed after distressing news about the situation at Corinth had arrived. This letter includes 2 Corinthians 10, 1 through 13, 10. Perhaps the most significant thing about Semler's hypothesis was that such a proposal was made at all. Its accuracy was a matter of secondary importance. With Semler, the dam had broken, releasing a mighty flood which swept scholars of all persuasions and schools into the debate on partition theories of 2 Corinthians and other Pauline letters for the next 200 years. Semler's hypothesis was first discussed in Germany, then in Holland and England. So it goes over like the many different hypotheses that have been proposed about these letters. But I'm going to, because this book goes over like all of them, right? Like, let's see, there's Kennedy's hypothesis, there's Hausroth's thesis. It goes over like a lot of them. So I think it would just be better because we don't have time for all this. I'm just gonna skip to. It's just important to realize the different ideas here. But I'm going to read this section.
If you want an in-depth overview of all of the theses about every single aspect of these 2 chapters, you really should read the book.
Yeah. But we definitely can't cover it all here. This guy, like I said, the author of this part of Erdman's takes it as the first of the 3 letters combined in our canonical 2 Corinthians, a distinct letter written from Macedonia to ensure that Paul's promised visit was a success. The main purpose of this visit was to gather the Corinthians' contributions to the Jerusalem collection, but Paul seems to have become anxious as he approached and was perhaps informed that the money was not as ready as he had hoped. The collection for Jerusalem was a major focus of Paul's activity at this time. Its basis lies in a commitment made at the Jerusalem conference in the late 40s. So, Galatians 2:10. And part of its rationale seems to have been Paul's concern that his Gentile converts remain aware of their debt to Jerusalem and Judaism. By the same token, if the collection was successfully gathered and gratefully received, it would signal recognition by the Jerusalem church of what his Gentile mission had achieved. But there were also good economic reasons for the collection. Those Paul calls, quote, the poor among the saints at Jerusalem. We're in considerable need, perhaps because local food shortages were exacerbated by social discrimination against followers of Jesus. Paul had earlier given the Corinthians instructions on laying aside money for this purpose, which we're going to get to later, but because this one is supposed to be the earliest one. Anyways, here he claims that they were initially keen to contribute, but such a major international collection was an unparalleled phenomenon whose unusual character could occasion many doubts. It was not like the annual tax, which male diaspora Jews contributed to the temple in Jerusalem, nor like the donations which wealthy Greeks and Romans might make to citizens and clients, expecting public honor in return. The fact that Paul has to use multiple arm-twisting techniques in 2 Corinthians 8-9 may indicate that the Corinthians failed to appreciate its rationale, regarded it as an unreasonable burden on their resources, and did not entirely trust Paul to deliver the money to its supposed destination.
After hearing a lot about Paul, I'm not sure I entirely trust him either.
Right, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so with respect to chapters 8 and 9 of 2 Corinthians, Sumler's original observation still stands, that 2 Corinthians 9 may have been a letter by itself. If this hypothesis is accepted, then we must ask whether chapter 8, because of its many parallels, did not also constitute an originally independent letter. One option would be to assume with Georgi, or Georgi, I don't know, that chapters 8 and 9 are fragments of originally independent letters dealing with the same subject matter, the collection to Jerusalem. This assumption raises the question of how the 2 letter fragments were originally related to one another. It has been argued that their difference is chronological. Weiss, Bornkamm, and Georgi took chapter 8 to be older than chapter 9, while Schmittels and Dinkler reversed the order. How much time passed between the composition of the letters? Weiss assumed that chapter 8 was written before the Corinthian crisis, while chapter 9 was written afterward, but Schmittel had it just the other way around. So, lots of ways to look at these, and I suppose we will talk about that further in depth once we actually get into the meat of it.
Yeah, and I guess you're going to be doing most of the work with chapter 8 here. I've got some commentary, but obviously yours is more in depth.
Yeah. Considering this entire book is just on these 2 chapters, right?
Yeah.
Diggity.
What did you say?
Hot diggity.
Yeah, hot diggity. Just to make sure. I
think I said.
No, I was. Okay, so a 8:4. All right. So that's when I'm going to stop so we can actually hop into some commentary at 8:4.
Okay.
So, chapter 8. We want you to know, brothers, about the grace of God that has been given among the churches of Macedonia. For in a severe test of affliction, their abundance of joy and their extreme poverty have overflowed in a wealth of generosity on their part. For they gave according to their means, as I can testify, and beyond their means, of their own accord, begging us earnestly for the favor of taking part in the relief of the saints. So yeah, that is through verse 4.
Yeah, now this was meant to bring economic relief for Jerusalem, the collection.
Right, yeah.
For the Jerusalem church, and to show unity between it and the Gentile diaspora congregation. See 1 Corinthians 16, 1 through 4, Galatians 2:10, Romans 15, 25 through 27. Acts, the second half of which details...
April does ask a good question. Whatever happened to we read books so you don't have to? You know what? I'm still doing it, April.
Yep, still doing it. Acts, the second half of which details Paul's activities, does not mention the collection, leaving unanswerable the question of what happened to these funds. Chapters 8 and 9 are probably two separate letters of two separate regions. But it goes on to talk about grace here. Greek charis or charis.
Charis, yeah.
Used 10 times in chapters 8 through 9 to describe the collection. Translated in 8:4 as privilege. In 8, 6, 7, 19 is generous undertaking. In 8:9 is generous act. In 8:16 is thanks and gift. In 9:5 bountifully. In 9:6.
Yeah. So there seems to be this is kind of an example of one of the causes of error here. So this is from text of the New Testament, Bruce Metzger. So other errors originated not because of the exercise of faulty judgment, but from the lack of judgment altogether. Only heedlessness to a degree that passes comprehension can account for some of the absurdities perpetuated by witless scribes. For example, after Aestus Hagius of 2 Corinthians 8:4, a good many minuscule manuscripts have added the gloss Dexastai Hemas. It appears that a scribe of one of these manuscripts wrote in the margin beside Dexaste Hemas the comment, it is found thus in many of the copies. Then the scribe of a subsequent manuscript incorporated this comment on the gloss directly in his text, as though it were part of the Apostle Paul's instructions to the Corinthians, which is hilarious. So this is just while this isn't the of course this isn't this the reading that we have is fine. We're able to tell, okay, this is a mistake by us, like these are mistakes by scribes. So then we go with the ones that don't have this addition because it's ridiculous. Yeah, this is just an example of how scribes fuck up sometimes.
Right.
Yeah. They just put it in there because it was in the margins because there was a note in the margins on another edition.
Right.
Ridiculous. Anyways, yeah, there also seems to be a segmentation issue in 8:3. So if a break is made before the adjective autharetoi of their own accord, as in the UBS text, then autharetoi goes with what follows in verse 4, and the sense is that the churches of Macedonia begged of their own accord for the privilege of sharing. Compare the REB translation of verse 4, they begged us most insistently, and on their own initiative to be allowed to share. If, however, a break is made after authoretoi instead of before it, then the sense is that the Macedonian Christians gave of their own accord, as in the NRSV, which is the section we covered. So the meaning of this one completely depends on on how you split up the Greek.
Yeah, which unfortunately isn't very clear in the Greek.
Yeah, because there's no such thing as punctuation in Greek.
Yes.
Yeah, so no, you get no spaces either.
Well, you see, Lawrence, it's just because you need to have an inspired reading of the Bible, then you'll know the correct translation.
Yeah. Yeah, those inspired readings aren't going to help much when it's actually just unclear from the original language. Yeah.
You'll just intuit the correct one.
Will you?
Yes.
Oh, wow. That sounds...
what inspired readings consist of.
That sounds subjective as hell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, essentially.
But if it's a real inspired reading, then you'll be correct.
Oh, fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I guess all you can do is really hope, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, continuing on here with verse 5. And this, not as we expected, but they gave themselves first to the Lord and then by the will of God to us. Accordingly, we urge Titus that as he had started, so he should complete among you this act of grace. But as you excel in everything, in faith, in speech, in knowledge, in all earnestness, and in our love for you, see that you excel in this act of grace also.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So they urged Titus here. The collection had been started in Corinth under the direction of Titus during the previous year. See verse 10 and 9 too. But no doubt because of the troubles in the Corinthian church, it had slowed down or come to a standstill. Paul is now sending Titus back to them, taking with him this present letter for the purposes of completing this good work, which he describes as an act of grace.
Yeah, so apparently, some of these things here that it lists, right? So faith, speech, knowledge, earnestness, and in our love for you. So yeah, there are difficulties with the translation of some of these concepts, as there is reason for assuming that the triad is conventional, that being faith or faithfulness, eloquence, and knowledge is their translation here. So that the triad is conventional and not merely Pauline. Pistis, usually meaning faith, may refer initially to faithfulness in the broadest sense rather than faith in terms of Pauline theology. Such a general meaning would be in keeping with the other terms used to praise the virtues of the Corinthians. This triad certainly corresponds to the Corinthians' own self-understanding, a fact which is underscored by the recurrence of two of the terms in a similar statement in 1 Corinthians 1:5, in every kind of speech and every kind of knowledge. Mm-hmm. Yeah, which is that eloquence, the same word that's used there, is logos. So yeah, in their words or in their arguments, it could be translated a whole bunch of different ways. Logos has so many ways of being understood and translated. Mm-hmm. So yeah. The parallel between these two passages raises the question of the relationship between the letters. In 1 Corinthians, Paul conceded that the Corinthians were indeed wealthy in every way, especially with respect to the intellectual gifts of speech and knowledge. This wealth had given rise to a number of problems, which were the occasion of the letter, especially by the strife which the people of Chloe had reported to be rampant in the Corinthian church.
The interpretation in the Jewish annotated New Testament is a little different. It says that when he's talking about them excelling in every way, this is using a common Greco-Roman rhetorical technique, proparietesis. Paul flatters his readers before making his request. The same technique was recommended by the rabbis for use in prayer.
That's actually so true. That even happened in Athens a lot. Even during the Attic, 400s BCE. So the thing, because for some reason I've read too many legal speeches from Athens, and they would do this thing so commonly, where they said, "Ladies and gentlemen of the jury," or actually, no, sorry, in this case, just gentlemen of the jury. you guys are so clear-headed and so smart. You wouldn't convict based off of faulty reasoning. And then they would argue for their good reasoning, right? So yeah, that kind of flattery. It still works today, honestly. Like you give somebody what's it called, a compliment sandwich, right? It wasn't that like a thing that they had you do in like some summer camps or something? No, man, we had to do that because so if you remember, one of my summer camps was for some reason a Lutheran one.
Wow.
Do you remember that? Did I told you that?
No.
Shit, I've mentioned it on the show before. Yeah. So, in order to get me out of the house, for summer, I went to a Lutheran summer camp where we did the weirdest prayers. And I mean, it was, fine generally. It wasn't like, it wasn't super religious. Like I could have been more religious. So essentially, we'd have fun ways of praying, to make prayer seem fun. And then whenever we were mad at somebody, they would like make us do like a compliment sandwich. So like compliment them, then do your critique, then compliment them again.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a bit much. No, I only ever went to Jewish summer camp.
Right.
once.
Yeah. For some reason, my Jewish parents sent me to a Christian summer camp. I don't think they actually cared. They were just like
Guys, I got sent to like an airplane thing and science camp, spy camp, and like
I didn't get that.
Jesus.
The closest I got to that was when they were doing like the college for kids thing, like when you're a teenager, right?
Yeah, I did leadership camp and stuff too.
Yeah, I
and
never
then
did
regular
any of
camp,
that.
just regular summer camp where I don't know, did archery and shot baby guns and stuff.
Yeah, see, I didn't get that.
Horses, any of that?
Didn't get that.
No, wow. I guess I had an okay upbringing. Sorry, guys.
Yeah. Next
I
time.
didn't really. Summer was okay, but school, I hated my classmates until like high school, and then I just tolerated them.
Yeah.
Wow.
Makes sense.
And everybody, I came at the wrong time. They did not like me in first grade, and it sucked till 8th grade. Anyways,
Sure, yeah.
Wow.
All right. So, continuing on here, I suppose, huh?
Yeah, are we talking about the Bible?
Yeah, I think so. I say this not as a command, but to prove by the earnestness of others that your love also is genuine. For you know the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ, that though he was rich, yet for your sake he became poor, so that you by his poverty might become rich. Interesting.
It's another one of those
Hey,
reversal
what's up?
things.
It is. Yeah. Yo, Jay Dollar Sign with the gifty membership.
who's it for?
Yeah.
Is it Nile Geese?
See, I don't know how that exactly works. Does it tell you who it's
There
for?
it is.
There it is.
It was Nile Geese.
Huge.
Yes.
Fantastic. Congratulations for getting some free emotes, I guess.
And a neat star for now.
A neat star,
For the
yeah.
artists.
We're gonna change the badges.
Is the artist okay yet?
I mean, she's alive after, so she did basically have an operation.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. And she's feeling a little bit better. But I guess we'll see how that goes. Yeah. But either way, appreciate it, Justin, and congrats to Nilgeist. Nilgeist.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yes.
Nilgeist. I'm gonna go with Nilgeist. Because if the first part is
Lawrence.
okay, whatever. All right. So yeah, this first proof. So if Paul's first proof in verse 9 belongs to the category of the honorable, what constitutes its actually, I'm going to get through the proof first. And then I'll hop into it. So, yeah, and in this manner, I give my judgment. This benefits you, who a year ago started not only to do this work, but also to desire to do it. So now finish doing it as well, so that your readiness in desiring it may be matched by your completing it out of what you have. For if the readiness is there, it is acceptable according to what a person has, not according to what he does not have.
Yes. See Deuteronomy 16:17. Apparently, this is some kind of
some kind of.
Some kind of related verse.
Oh, okay.
Let me pull it up here.
Yeah, while you do that, it does remind me of the.
Each of you must bring a gift in proportion to the way the Lord your God has blessed you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, fair enough. So, like, according to your own means thing. Which I think many religions place emphasis on that kind of thing.
From each according to his ability, to
Yeah.
each according to his needs.
Yeah, exactly. So that it also reminds me of this section of the fool in Psalms. So it's more important that you have like the will and want to do it rather than just going through the motions.
Right.
So
right.
Maybe Paul also understood the same thing we do about those Psalms.
Yes,
I don't know.
Probably. No. Paul probably spent a long time reading Psalms.
Yeah, probably. He spent a lot of time reading a whole bunch of stuff when he wasn't preaching. All right. Continuing on here. For I do not mean that others should be eased and you burdened, but that as a matter of fairness, your abundance at the present time should supply their need, so that their abundance may supply your need, that there may be fairness. As it is written, whoever gathered much had nothing left over, and whoever gathered little had no lack. Now that's the first section there.
Right.
Yeah. So there are a bunch of proofs here, essentially. And it looks like they are classifying these different proofs, right? Because I think at the time they had a bunch of classifications for proofs, and for types of arguments, right? Like I think didn't Aristotle write a whole bunch of stuff about it? Different types of proofs.
Yes, but it was mostly the syllogistic system.
Oh, okay,
right?
Gotcha. Well, okay. So who was the one who did the stuff on just rhetoric in general?
I mean, there are a lot of rhetoricians.
Yeah, I know. But like someone, I think it was Aristotle, right? He wrote he categorized arguments.
Oh, yeah, he did some of that.
Okay, whatever. I'm not quite remembering it. Yeah, maybe it was Cicero. I don't remember. Anyways, so if
big time difference there.
Yeah, I know there is. I just remember recently reading about it. Either way, so if Paul's first proof in verse 9 belongs to the category of the honorable, what constitutes its persuasive force? The statement is doctrinal in nature, a concise formulation of the Christological and soteriological concept of grace. The initial verb which Paul employs, and the word there is ginoskete, indicates that the doctrine was already known to the readers. Thus, the thing is, as you mentioned before, if this was a rhetorical use, then they go with you already know this thing, even if they don't actually know it. He's just kind of acting like they're smarter than they actually are.
Hooray!
Yeah. Thus, the statement functions rhetorically as a reminder. Formally, verse 9 consists of a pair of lines which exhibit a chiastic structure. It is hard to say whether Paul composed the statement ad hoc or whether it was derived from some other context. In this passage, at least, the statement is meant to function as an example. If, as Paul expected, the readers accepted the example of Christ as authoritative for their own lives, then honor was due to God. The result, as Cicero had said, is to produce the virtues of duty and gratitude. Oh, man, let's not get into duty, because then we're going to talk about Kant, and I don't want to talk about Kant.
Nobody really wants to talk about Kant.
Nope.
No, they really don't. The second point differs from the first both in form and content. Absolutely. Instead of appealing to Christological and soteriological doctrine, Paul alluded to a common sense. This is where the word is gnome, yeah, on expediency, a stock argument in deliberative oratory. Accordingly, a particular course of action may be recommended if its expediency can be demonstrated. But the argument is somewhat more involved than this. It moves through three stages. Yeah, past, present, and future, I guess. So what Paul applied to the situation in Corinth in verse 10 was not merely his own opinion, but a commonplace which he believed would make sense to the Corinthians, though it remains at the presuppositional level. It is nevertheless present in the words that follow. Being en totoi, so in this. The force of the argument proceeds by way of 3 steps again. Yeah, the most of this is just honestly form, structure stuff. It's really not huge. In fact, none of them are actually going into greater detail than that here. So either way, I'm going to continue.
All right.
Yeah. So.
And I'll just let you know, there really isn't much commentary that I have on what remains in this chapter.
Right, yeah. So verse 16. But thanks be to God, who put into the heart of Titus the same earnest care I have for you. For he not only accepted our appeal, but being himself very earnest, he is going to you of his own accord. So already a lot of similarities. With him we are sending the brother who is famous among all the churches for his preaching of the gospel. And not only that, but he has been appointed by the churches to travel with us as we carry out this act of grace that is being ministered by us, for the glory of the Lord himself and to show our goodwill. So, yeah, so with him, we are sending the brother who is famous among all the churches. Mm-hmm. So, do you have anything on that? That would be verse 18.
On verse 18, I have the one who's famous with all the churches. Could be Luke, could be Barnabas.
Wow, okay.
In any case, it was probably someone widely known for the faithfulness to the ministry.
Yes.
According to that one. Now, this one, on the other hand, it says the sending of Titus and 2 brothers might indicate that the collection is modeled after the temple tax. Exodus 30, 13 through 15. Philo states that its delivery was carried out by sacred ambassadors selected on account of their virtue. So that's all I have on that.
Oh, and
thank you,
April. Now a member for a month. That's wild. Thank you.
Yes, behold.
Behold, absolutely. Yeah. We appreciate it as always. So
priority level, guys.
What?
Priority level.
Right, yeah,
Oh, yeah.
priority level.
You're a super member, basically.
Essentially, yeah.
Priority level is like our black card holders.
Dude, I don't even remember. I know we have only 2 levels, and I don't remember which one is which.
Look, there's
the
the
higher
basic
one?
level, which
Clearly
gives you the things, and then there's the priority level, which gives you the same things, but it also gives you priority.
Okay. If you say so.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds like something I'd buy. So yeah, the commendation of the 2 other delegates is clearly treated separately from that of Titus. These envoys were no doubt of a lower rank, though their appointments resulted from different procedures. They nevertheless are treated together as a group. The appointment of these 2 brothers raises questions which are intriguing, not only for us today, but no doubt at the time when 2 Corinthians 8 and 9 were written. Paul's repeated defense of the appointments raises more questions than it answers. Let's see. Yeah, so an interesting example of the sending of letters with additional envoys. Oh, okay, so it just lists a whole bunch of letters where they were like, okay, so we're giving you more people to send these. Right. So in the first place, we must examine what seems to be a rather inconspicuous matter, the title brother given to the 2 envoys. The term brother, yeah, it's just as usually a fellow Christian here, but the term also occurs frequently in Greek and Roman correspondence, where it was used apparently with little concern for a precise meaning. It was applied to blood relations and to those named in the honorary declarations commonly made by Hellenistic rulers. Thus, Paul's use of the term in reference to the envoys may have been influenced by such administrative language. In that case, those whom Paul refers to as brothers were considered not only as fellow Christians, but also as church political allies. Fair enough, I guess.
Yeah, and the basis for Paul's doctrine in terms of historicity, because according to the Bible, he never met Jesus in person. So what's the purpose or goal of his right? Well, so he has this like mystical vision.
Yeah,
of
some
Jesus.
experience after some amount of time where even Paul himself tells us, I was persecuting Christians for a while. So we get two different stories, right?
It'd be like if Lawrence had like a mystical experience and suddenly became super pro-Christian.
Yeah, right.
Except Lawrence hasn't been murdering Christians, and
no,
Paul was.
I don't think I have been.
No.
But you've been killing their hope.
That's a totally different matter. For his purpose, he has to also align those beliefs with Judaism as well, which is why he constantly cites things and references things in the Tanakh. I guess he references all of it. His purpose in this stuff is, well, if he considers himself to be saved now after this vision, then he would probably want to save others, and probably more importantly, even make up for some of the stuff that he did in the past, right? Like even like as like a personal thing, like you know what, I was really shitty. I gotta be less shitty. So he starts, preaching it instead.
Yeah.
That's what I would go for, I guess.
But obviously, there's no way to historically validate that Paul dude had this vision.
Right, yeah.
Right? So, like, in terms of historicity, there's not much.
Yeah. All we can say was that Paul converted and then started preaching.
Yeah.
And then the rest is we kind of have to garner it from, little hints here and there from the letters. Because these letters themselves were written for a purpose. He was probably preaching totally differently. Maybe containing many of the same ideas, but his preaching would have been completely different from what he said to the letters.
It would be more like the Gospel of Mary.
Maybe. That would be a trip.
Yeah. If you haven't checked that out, check out our Friday Apocryphal podcast coverage of the Gospel of Mary after this.
Yeah, there's some wild stuff in there.
Yeah.
All right. Continuing on here. Because both of these guys aren't named. Anyways, so we take this course so that no one should blame us about this generous gift that is being administered by us. For we aim at what is honorable, not only in the Lord's sight, but also in the sight of man. And with them we are sending our brother, whom we have often tested and found earnest in many matters. Yeah, this is another one who isn't named. But who is now more earnest than ever because of his great confidence in you. As for Titus, he is my partner and fellow worker for your benefit. And as for our brothers, they are messengers of the churches, the glory of Christ. So give proof before the churches of your love and of your boasting about you to these men. And that is the end of chapter 8.
Yeah, hey, if you're enjoying the stream so far, give us a like, comment, subscribe. And Lawrence, do you hear something?
Oh, I think I do hear something.
Behold, I am your Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, and I want to let all you heathens and sinners know that I support this wonderful episode of Atheist Sunday School. Lawrence and Reuben try their very best to bring you the true glory of the Bible, and they need your help. They have provided links to their Patreon page and other social media just for you. Once again, my name is Jesus Christ, and this is Milwaukee Atheists. The Lord is with them. God bless.
Oh, Jesus. Hey, happy birthday, Jesus. I hear someone's about almost 2,000. Actually, hold on. You'd be 2,000, and depending on the day you were born, you would either be 2,000. So let's see. Hold on. Let me figure this out. So either 4 BCE or let's just take those dates, right? So 4 BCE or 6 CE. Yeah. So you would either be 2,000 and hold up. Don't tell me, chat. So what year is it? Is it 2022 still? Yeah, it is.
Jesus.
Yeah, losing track of time. So you'd either be 2026 or 2016 years old. So happy birthday. And it looks like, were you just at the birthday party with Jesus?
Yeah, I was having cake, but the sad thing is Jesus, he was born on Christmas, so whenever he has birthday cake, it's fruit cake.
Okay. So wait, hold up. So are you guys celebrating Christmas and his birthday? Did he make it 2 things? Or is he keeping it as just his birthday?
It's the
Which
same
you can
thing.
also call Christmas. Yeah, I know.
Christmas is his birthday.
No,
party.
I know. But what I'm saying is, does he treat them as 2 separate occasions?
Oh, no.
Okay.
Christmas is just the name of his birthday party.
Okay, yeah. But I figure, he might.
It's 12 days long, Christmas?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Could do the whole month, right? Don't people do those calendars?
The Advent?
Yeah, that's right. The Advent.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but you know what? I guess, oh man, I kind of hope that I get to.
But if
Stop by
Christmas
the
is
party.
Jesus' birthday and Christmas is 12 days long, it must have been a horrible labor. You just got to think that it's just awful.
But you know what? At least God was there probably for it,
I
right?
guess.
The Dad's got to be there.
Yeah.
I guess he doesn't have to.
No, he wasn't.
You're right. He wasn't actually. But he was there in spirit.
No, he was. He sent a messenger afterward.
Yeah, I guess. But you know what? Maybe. No, it's just a co-parter. Yeah, so we can hop into chapter 9, I suppose.
Yeah, and this one's pretty short. So let me hop into it.
Wow.
Chapter
Short chapters.
9. For as touching the ministering to the saints, it is superfluous for me to write to you, for I know the forwardness of your mind, for which I boast of you to them of Macedonia, that Achaia was ready a year ago, and your zeal hath provoked very many. Yet have I sent the brethren, lest our boasting of you should be in vain in this behalf, that, as I said, ye may be ready. Lest haply if they of Macedonia come with me, and find you unprepared, we that we say not ye should be ashamed in this same confident boasting. Therefore I thought it necessary to exhort the brethren that they would go before unto you, and make up beforehand your bounty, whereof ye had notice before, that the same might be ready as a matter of bounty, and not of covetousness.
Wow, okay. So
That was verse 5.
yeah, that was verse 5. All right. So there are some, at least a few textual issues here. So in 9:4, so my translation, or else if Macedonians should come with me and find you unprepared, we, not to mention you, would be put to shame in this project. So what is interesting here? So what I'm wondering is something about the segmentation. So the word, can you read your 9:4 one more time? Sorry.
9:4. Lest haply, if they of Macedonia come with me and find you unprepared, we that we say not ye should be ashamed in this same confident boasting.
Interesting. Okay. So, I guess where mine says not to mention you. The verb lego, which means I say, has adequate manuscript support. Under the influence of the preceding plural verb, we would be ashamed. In this verse, copyists changed the singular verb to the plural verb, legomen, so we say. Elsewhere in the context, Paul uses the first person singular. A literal translation of this verse reads, "Lest if Macedonians come with me and find you are not ready, we would be ashamed." I don't speak of you in this undertaking. A few translations render the words "ename lego humes," so it is kind of weird. So it would be so that we do not speak of you, or so that I do not speak of you. Mm-hmm. That's what it would mean. So for quote, the grammar is rather awkward, so that the translations have to be somewhat free. I don't know. I actually think that kind of makes sense. The grammar's not that weird there. Sorry. Many translations of the infinitive to say do not make explicit whether the subject of the action is singular or plural. Compare the NRSV, we would be humiliated to say nothing of you in this undertaking. So that's their interpretation there. I think the Greek just totally makes sense there on its own. Then there is also the second part of this verse where it says, in this confidence or undertaking. Mm-hmm. Following these words at the end of the verse, later manuscripts have the words of boasting, or of the boasting, I should say, because it has a... it would be of boasting because it's... it has the article. Which are a scribal addition to explain more fully the confidence. The additional words may have been added under the influence of the words taute te hupeste tes kaukaseos in 1117, which the RSV translates in this boastful confidence. The meaning of the word which is here translated as confidence in this context is uncertain. The second epistle to the some argue that it means confidence or assurance. If this interpretation is correct, then the addition of the words the boasting correctly expresses the intended meaning. Others, however, argue that it means project or undertaking. Yeah, so there are possible ways that you can interpret that.
So we're not very confident about this claim about confidence.
Essentially, yes.
Yes. But this I say, he which soweth sparingly shall reap also sparingly, and he which soweth bountifully shall reap also bountifully. Now, the Study Bible points out that this is probably a well-known proverb, but not taken from the book of Proverbs.
Sure, yeah.
Interesting.
And the Jewish Annotated New Testament says about this, one who sows bountifully will also reap bountifully. See Hosea 10:12. The idea that people reap as they sow appears also in rabbinic literature, e.g. Sukkot 49b. He who does charity and justice is regarded as though he had filled all the world with kindness. Right. So this is a typically Jewish perspective.
Yeah. Oh, and also, yeah, it's also, I think is that an agrarian theology? Is that what that is? As is clear from the passages of Hesiod, Xenophon, and Pliny, frequently cited in connection with 9:14. Oh, we're not even there yet. Okay.
No,
Yeah, sorry.
not yet. Every man according as he purposeth in his heart, so let him give, not grudgingly or of necessity, for God loveth a cheerful giver, and God is able to make all grace abound toward you, that ye, as always having all sufficiency in all things, may abound to every good work. As it is written, He hath dispersed abroad, He hath given to the poor, His righteousness remaineth forever. And this reference is to Psalm 112, verse 9.
Okay.
Now he that ministereth seed to the sower, both minister bread for your food, and multiply your seed sown, and increase the fruits of your righteousness, being enriched in everything to all bountifulness, which causeth through us thanksgiving to God. For the administration of this service not only supplieth the want of the saints, but is abundant also by many thanksgivings unto God, while by the experiment of this ministration they glorify God for your professed subjection unto the gospel of Christ, and for your liberal distribution unto them and to all men, and by their prayer for you, which long after you for the exceeding grace of God in you. Thanks be unto God for his unspeakable gift.
What verse are you at?
I just finished the chapter.
Oh, did you? Oh, shit. Okay.
It's not much.
Yeah, you're right. It wasn't much.
Nice.
So yeah, as is clear from the passages of Hesiod, Xenophon, and Pliny, frequently cited in connection with 9:14, Paul's argument in verses 6 through 14 is founded throughout upon presuppositions which belong to the realm of ancient agriculture. Ancient agriculture consisted not only of the farmer's work of his land, but also on the practical ideas connected with it, ideas which have their roots in folk wisdom, and which are reflected in a wide range of literary forms. In the Greco-Roman world, an entire literature dealing with agriculture evolved out of these ideas. That is, a literature concerned not only with the collection of useful observations, experiences, and advice. Oh, yeah, so that would be, from Hesiod, it would be, oh my God, I forgot the book. It's not Theogony, it's Works and Days. In it, he's telling his...
Landon, you got here just in time.
Landon, hello. So yeah, in Works and Days, he's like telling his brother a whole bunch of stuff about the land and how to like work it.
In Works and Days, it tells you how to work
the land. Yes. So on the Jewish side, the integration took place along the entire length of the Old Testament and post-biblical literature. The thought complex is made tangible in the rituals and laws connected with agriculture. The interconnections of which this literature gives evidence, not only within itself, but also with ancient culture in general, allow us to conclude that in their works, the authors have collected current knowledge and combined it with their own ideas. As might be expected, this tradition also exercised a powerful influence on Hellenistic Jewish culture. Thus, such works must have been current and popular in Hellenistic Judaism. Seen this way, it's hardly surprising that Paul appears to have been strongly influenced by such agrarian theology. Yet, it is remarkable that he did so little to make these ideas Christian. In the entire section, 9:6-14, which presents a unified train of thought, there is nothing which could be designated as specifically Christian. The concept of the gospel of Christ in verse 13 constitutes the only exception. But this concept plays no role in the argument itself. Thus, we must reckon with the fact that the entire complex derives essentially from the pre-Pauline Hellenistic Jewish theology.
Yes. And that is the end of our reading for the day.
Yeah, those were some pretty short chapters. And the fact that, the thing is, there's a whole bunch of this book that we couldn't even, really cover, because a lot of it, like I said, is about the form and structure of the arguments and stuff. So it's really not for this show, I guess. Not something we talk about that much.
We occasionally go over some things.
Yeah, once in a while. In comparison with Chapter 8, it is far easier to determine the literary form and function of the letter fragment of Chapter 9. The fragment is of one piece and contains no inner tensions, unlike the other one. The text type is that of advisory letter, classic. The rest of it is honestly, it's pretty self-explanatory, but it is interesting that when you try to put it all together into, like a timeline, then you end up with, so maybe this part of this letter was written first, or maybe this specific part of that specific part of the letter was written first, and then another one later. So it is interesting that there are just multiple letter fragments in 2 Corinthians.
Yes. And
which seems to be accepted at this point by everybody. They just usually differ on the date or purpose of these.
Right.
Yeah.
With that being said, the material itself is very straightforward. So there's not much to say about it.
Yeah.
So that's our reading for the day. It's Christmaka.
Yes, it is Christmaka. And in order to celebrate Christmaka, I'm going to do nothing. I'm going to go to work. Because we don't close
I'm
on
gonna go have some luck because with my family.
that sucks. So
I'm also going to do nothing, but I'm not going anywhere.
right, yeah. So
Well,
Wait, I
If
might
you
open
wanna-
that one gift I have from my grandmother.
oh.
It's chocolates. I know it is, but I haven't opened it yet.
If you in the audience want to get us a Christmas gift,
we have an Amazon wish list.
yes, it's full of books. And, there's nothing better than giving someone a book that they're going to read and deliver all of the useful information to you. That's pretty beneficial for both parties.
Yeah, exactly. Really, you get everything you're going to want out of those.
Yes. And, if you just want to support us in a different way, you can check out our Patreon. You could be on the show. You could win a t-shirt like the t-shirt that's pinned right now. Or you could go on to the Teespring through the pin and buy yourself a t-shirt. You could do any number of things, but the important thing is that you're giving us money.
And
Support.
Support.
yeah, and support and love. Love
Yeah.
is very important.
And, if you don't have money or love, you want to show support in a different way.
You can give Lawrence diss track.
Yeah.
Lawrence diss tracks.
Love there.
Ending of we want your Ahikar fan fictions. We also want you to follow us on Facebook and Twitter because it's free to follow us on those platforms.
Yeah. And you don't have to love us for that.
You don't have to. No, you could just do whatever. That's a
Yeah.
mindless thing. You just click.
We want you to tell everyone that you know about us.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
We want to spread like a virus throughout the world.
Jesus.
I don't know if that's a great time to use that.
We want to spread like a bacteria around
There
the
you
world.
go.
Yeah.
That's much better.
Much
Oh, yeah,
better.
totally. Watch that be the next
Yes.
prank.
And, our good friend Landon there has been helping us become the most popular show in Antarctica.
Right. I recently saw that that Mr. Beast went to Antarctica.
Oh,
Yeah, and I was actually wondering if Landon actually helped Mr. Beast do anything in Antarctica because he's one of not very many people that go to Antarctica.
right.
Yeah. So I was just wondering, Landon. So let me know if if you helped at all with that, or if you knew about it when it was happening or something, because that'd be interesting.
We got to make a copy of the hard drive with an archive of every single Atheist Sunday School and Friday Apocryphal podcast and send that with Landon to Antarctica so that it can, go the rounds and everyone in Antarctica can become familiar with us.
Okay, so I get that it could be fun, but if you're into the coldest possible cold, but I'm wondering if you help Mr. Beast at all with that stuff. It's okay if you didn't, but it would just be cool if you did. So
Anyways.
Yeah. Either way, that's all the shilling. We are taking next week Sunday off. Yeah.
But we will.
We will see you on Friday.